Hey everybody, welcome to MSOM 601, Lesson 6 recap. Sorry for the lack of light tonight, sun going down over Monterey Bay in Monterey, California. My wife is here this week working at the old Monterey Inn, so I decided to tag along with her to this beautiful location about, oh gosh, an hour and a half, 2 hours southwest of San Francisco. Well, this week in lesson 6, you had the typical 3 things to do. You had 2 discussion boards and a case study. The first discussion board dealt with SMEs, or subject matter experts. The first time I ran into what was considered a subject matter expert was many years ago. My boss asked me to do a task, and I thought it was kind of odd that he asked me to do it, and he said, Dave, you're better than I am at doing this, and he said, I don't have a corner on brains, so why don't you do this one? And so that was his recognition that perhaps I had some skills that he didn't have on a particular topic or an issue. And so subject matter experts are incredibly important as you begin to work with different people, different types of people. And in Amina's story this week, you actually have some very good examples of subject matter experts who are better gifted, if you will, or better talented in certain areas to do certain things. And so I would just encourage you, as you look to apply the learnings from SMEs, that you don't try to do everything as a boss. You have people who are better than you at certain things, and make sure that you utilize them as such. The second discussion board question really talked about organizational honesty. And I tried to explain a bit on that. I don't necessarily mean honesty in the traditional sense of being honest and with other people, but it's really being honest about your strengths and your weaknesses. How many times have you done a SWOT analysis as part of a company, and you've thought about all the strengths that your company has or that your department has, and then you get lockjaw when it comes time to talk about the weaknesses that you or your organization has. And so what I would encourage you to do on that is to make sure that as you are looking at your organization, that you are very honest about the areas of opportunity that you have, the weaknesses that your organization has, because until you're ready, willing, and able to admit those things, it may be very difficult for you to solve problems. And that happens in problem solving as well. If you don't understand and admit the areas where you have degrees of strengths, but also where you have opportunity areas, it may be a long time till that problem gets solved. So organizational honesty begins actually with individual honesty, so the applications certainly are both for the organization and for you. And then the case study this week I thought was kind of interesting because it paired up a couple of things. It paired up an interesting story. I don't know about you, but I love Sherlock Holmes stories. I like them because they present an opportunity for critical thinking, and Holmes is just wonderful at that. And so that story gave you an opportunity to talk about and to discover really talking about facts and understanding of those facts. And then the little blurb that you had at the bottom of that case study talked about fatalities in the Iraq War is really an interesting one too, because what you have to do is you have to make sure that as you are beginning to solve problems and ask questions, that you and the people around you are answering the same question and that you are making the same assumptions as it relates to the facts. And so if one of you are thinking that the facts involve certain elements and the other think that the facts are inclusive of much more or much less than those are, then you're really not speaking the same language. And if you don't speak the same language and you move from that, again, if you apply red to this and you recognize those assumptions and your assumptions of the facts are different than the assumptions of someone else, then you're going to be solving the wrong problems. And so that case study could have taken you a lot of different directions, and I think I gave you a tremendous amount of latitude on that one to provide answers and to provide ideas. But the key message moving forward with that is just to make sure that as you're putting all these pieces together, that you're operating under the same assumptions, that you're operating on the same facts, and that in case you're not, you get that taken care of up front. Again, all of these things that you find out every week really focus on the front end of problem solving. And that's a key message going forward, and I hope that you're beginning to understand that one, that problem solving, again, begins at the start. And all the work that you do at the start is so critical to making sure that you solve the problems, you gather the facts, you agree on the facts, so that you can work together for proper solutions. So that is lesson 6. I look forward to chatting with you again. If you need me, call me.